Yeah, you're with MIM, ABC Gippsland. Let's chat to Joe Jacobs, Research Director at Ellinbank SmartFarm. Hi, Joe.
Good morning, Mim.
Good morning. Tell me, are you there at the moment at the farm? What's the weather like?
I'm not there, but I can almost see the farm, so it's a bit hazy this morning.
Yeah, and so just describe to us what Ellinbank SmartFarm is quickly.
So Ellinbank SmartFarm does operate as a commercial dairy farm while providing a platform for research and innovation, a platform to demonstrate technologies, both existing and emerging, and as a platform for education right across primary, secondary and tertiary education. Excuse me. And a key role for us is to test how emerging technologies, either just as a singular technology or in harness with other technologies, actually work within a farming system context. And by that I mean we almost de-risk the technology for farmers. So we're willing to take the risk, see how they work, how they don't work, where the issues are, where the benefits are, and really supply that information to the farming community.
Now, cow poo. I have lots of memories of cow poo. I grew up on a farm near Paynesville, and my brother and sister and I used to get sticks, and if the cow poo's at a certain consistency, so it has to be really hard and crispy on the top, but still pretty soft underneath, you can get it on the end of the stick and fling it at your siblings. So that's kind of what I think of cow poo. You're thinking of turning cow poo into energy.
Yeah, we are, and I'm sure many people have got memories similar to yours of fights with siblings. But no, look, and just as a bit of a context, we've set ourselves a goal at the Ellinbank SmartFarm to try and achieve carbon neutrality by 2026. And if we can achieve that, we'll be the world's first carbon neutral dairy farm in a pasture context. It's a pretty ambitious goal, but we're already well on track to achieve that. Clearly, part of that is generating our own energy, ideally utilising our own waste to reconvert for fertiliser use, so taking less reliance upon inorganic fertilisers needing to be purchased. One way to do that is to look at an anaerobic digester, an AD system, where in effect we take the cow manure, the washdowns from the yard, the scrapings off the feed pad, put all of that into a digester, because it hasn't been fully digested by the animal yet, so there is still energy within it. And that digests and creates methane. We actually collect the methane, and that goes through a conditioning process to clean it up a bit, take some of the moisture out, take gases like hydrogen sulfide out, and then through a biogas engine, that's converted to generate electricity, where we can heat the water, for example, in the dairy, or even use some of that energy to heat the digester to optimise that as a system. And the digestate, so the material that's left after that digestion, can then be used, both the liquid and the solid phase, as a fertiliser.
Right. So you would be getting energy from it and using it as a fertiliser? That's
correct, yep.
Sure. And how would the methane from that, how would you store that and then you put it into use as energy?
So that goes through this biogas engine, which actually is then used to generate electricity. So I guess the akin would be something like using water to produce hydroelectricity. The methane through the biogas engine does a similar thing and produces energy.
This is amazing. So you could run the farm off methane?
Well, I don't know whether we could ever run the farm in its entirety, but when you think of you're utilising your dairy waste through the anaerobic digester to generate energy. We've also got a large solar array on the farm. We've got 99.2 kilowatts of solar. We've got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, which allows us to offset some of that solar energy to periods when energy is not being generated. And we've recently also put in place 2 wind turbines, both a vertical and a horizontal, and we've actually got a small hydro system. So this comes back to our role around demonstrating technologies where we're looking at an array of ways to generate energy on the farm to reduce the reliance on the grid and demonstrate to farmers that these technologies do exist.
Do you think a mixture of off-grid and on-grid is best?
Look, at this stage I would say yes. I think for us having the reliance on the backup to the grid is important. because, solar, as an example, is fantastic during the day, but obviously challenges in the night time. Wind isn't there all the time. So until you can actually ensure that you've got a constant, even supply for the 24-hour period, you're still going to need that link in for a farm anyway to the grid as a backup.
We're chatting with Joe Jacobs, Research Director at Ellinbank SmartFarm, where they're looking into using cow poo to create electricity, with a process. Now, Joe, who's going to collect all the cow poo?
Well, the cow poo in itself is already collected. So we do have a current system where it's collected into 3 ponds. So we have an anaerobic pond and then 2 aerobic ponds, which is...
What do you mean? Like, so the cows don't go and poo into a pond?
No. So the manure that's collected is off the dairy yards at milking.
Sure. So someone shovels it up and gets it.
It gets washed down.
You sure?
Yeah, so at the end of milking, you've obviously got cow pats and other waste laying around in the yard. That's all washed down and collected currently into the ponds. What we're looking for someone to do is put a tender in to design and construct a digester, that rather than all that material going into the ponds, it goes via a digester and obviously gets digested. We produce the methane, and the digester then gets separated into a liquid and a solid phase. The liquid would utilise the existing ponds, and the solid would be collected and spread out at a later time.
Thanks so much for your time, Joe Jacobs, and keep us posted. The moment a light globe flashes, we want to know.
No worries. Thanks, Mim.
Cheers. Joe Jacobs there, Research Director at Ellinbank SmartFarm.